Okay, I'm just going to pick a problem at pretty much random. I've made it up. Vertex is going to be 5, comma 2. And then since you have your vertex, you can actually get your axis of symmetry. And your axis of symmetry is x equals 5. Whatever that number is, that's your axis of symmetry. There's no real trick other than that. If this wasn't in this form, if there wasn't the parentheses, etc., etc., in other words, if you had a term in the middle like 5x, that is going to change how this whole problem is done. But if you're being given it like this, with no single x term, just the one within the squared, this problem isn't as bad. But if you ever have that happen, I can show you kind of a trick to get these. Okay, so now that we've got that, altitude, as you know, is 1. So, when it comes to getting your other points, I always go to an x, y chart. Now, as you know, this graph is going to be symmetric at 5. So if I'm looking at my graph, at x equals 5, I'm going to just draw in my axis of symmetry here, dotted. Okay. At x equals 5, whatever happens over here is going to look exactly the same as what happened over here. Right? And the vertex is at apparently 2. Just right there. So whatever happens here is going to be the exact same on its mirror image. Okay? So what you want to kind of do is get an idea of, well, what does it look like here? Is it opening up really, really flat? We kind of know what it already looks like, but since they want you to be exact, we're going to need points. What you want to do is kind of go smaller than your vertex and bigger than your vertex. So pick any number over here, smaller. 4, 3, 2, 1. You can even go into the negatives. Just be aware that the further away from the axis symmetry you get, the larger your numbers are going to be. So if you don't want to graph huge numbers, I'd probably pick right to the left, in this case 4. Then go to the right. If you'll notice, we went 1 left, that's 4. 1 right would be 6. Those are 1 point away from each other, which actually means, since it's symmetric and mirror image, they're going to be at the exact same height. So if you go 2 away, this point 2 away is also going to be at the exact same height. That's what symmetric allows us to do. So if you're worried about how you're plugging numbers in and you want to make sure you're right, if you plug in the one to the right, which is 6, one spot to the right, you are going to wind up with the same height. And if you don't, then something's wrong. Your axis of symmetry, vertex, something's wrong. It's kind of like a giveaway. So again, 1 to the right and 1 to the left should have the same height. 2 to the right, 2 to the left should have the same height, just based on symmetry. Okay, let's plug in 4. So 4 minus 5 squared plus 2. That's negative 1 squared plus 2, which is 1 plus 2, which is 3. So when we're 4, we're actually up here at 3. Because that's 2, and that's 1. Okay, now, when we plug in 6, you actually should get 3 as well, just based on symmetry. And if you'll notice, you've got 6 minus 5 is 1 squared plus 2. 1 squared is 1 plus 2 is, once again, 3. So again, that symmetry is what allows us to do that. So in other words, this point is also going to be right here. And now you can kind of connect your dots. I always require from my students that they don't just arbitrarily decide where it goes through the y-axis. If your teacher doesn't care, then this next part doesn't really matter, but in case she does care or asks you about the y-intercept, I do want to show you how to get it. So let's just draw a line down here. Y-intercept, and that's going to be where it crosses the y-axis. Your y-intercept is kind of simple. It's just where x is 0. So this is your x is 0. That's your y-intercept. So all you do is plug in 0. 0 minus 5 squared plus 2, which is negative 5 squared plus 2, which is 25 plus 2, which is simply 27. So now you know that it's actually going to cross way, way, way up here. Let's say that's 27. Which kind of lets you see the shape. This is really a tight kind of a U. That makes sense. And again, I don't know if your teacher is requiring this. I just wanted to show it to you if she is. If not, then you've already gotten yourself enough information. If you'd prefer not to have the same heights, don't pick 6, pick 7, pick 8. Again, don't go too far away from the 5. But the most important thing you want to do is go to the left and the right. Since you were plotting your vertex, I was assuming you did know how to plot points themselves. If plotting for 3 is tripping you up, though, let me know and I will show you that too.